Good evening. Happy Tuesday. I got a few too many things going on right now. Sorry. I'm trying to cover up my beverage so that I don't have any bugs land in my drink while we're talking tonight. Hello, welcome to the show. Welcome to Free Thinkers. I am Nikki. Over here is our other exceptional host here, Q. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Free Thinkers. We do this every Tuesday night, live at 8:05 p.m. Central. Go till 9:30, sometimes 10, just depending on the conversation and just if we want to keep going with this. Tonight we're going to do another one of our favorites, which is Pick a Post, where we just basically talk. We don't have anything in particular in mind that we'll cover tonight, but there are things on the page as well as just other things going on, of course, in the news, in TV world, in social media land, of course. And we'll just talk about some stuff tonight, just some grown-up conversation about some things going on. So, of course, as with every introduction that we do on Tuesdays, totally up to you who you want to have join us with the show tonight. We do have adult content on the show, and oftentimes do use adult language. So totally up to you who you want to have listen to the show. If you want to join the show tonight, on the Freethinkers Facebook page, Q posted a StreamYard link. Again, the link changes every Tuesday. It's never going to be the same link. But on the Freethinkers Facebook page, there is a link for the StreamYard for tonight. You can just click on that. It'll bring you into our live. Otherwise, if you just want to engage with us in the comment section, shout out Kevin. See how Kevin is over there in our comment section. You can go to the live chat over on the YouTube channel, which is Freethinkers Worldwide. All of these things you can find on, if you just click on my profile picture has the YouTube channel and the Freethinkers page. So the YouTube channel is Freethinkers Worldwide. You can join us over there. Of course, please do also subscribe. Once we set up the meeting for Tuesday nights, you'll get a notification. So it's just an easy way to stay tapped in with us. If you kind of maybe forget about Tuesday nights or catch us late and you're always like, oh man, I forgot again, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Get the notifications, and then you won't miss whatever we got going on when we do. So a couple different ways you can obviously engage. You can engage in the live chat, and or you can join the show, and you can just get in here and have a conversation tonight. You don't have to join us every Tuesday. You can join us every Tuesday. If you need to tap in here maybe a little bit late because you're running late, that's okay. Just jump on in here, kind of warm yourself up to the conversation and try to follow at your own pace. And if you need to leave a little bit early, that's okay too. Certainly, we love for you to stay the whole conversation, but if you need to tap out early, that is okay. And that's pretty much it. And of course, thank you to everybody who has shared the page. Thank you to everybody who has joined us over on the YouTube channel. Thank you to people who are bearing with us during the last 5 days now that I have left before we'll be back like fully functioning in the proper way when I get out of YouTube jail. So do like the YouTube channel. Do follow us on.
For how long?
No, I'm done. I don't know.
I heard this before.
I know, but like when you kick a dog so many times, eventually they're just gonna fucking stay down. Like, I'm down, I'm done. Like, I give up. They win. They do, they win. Oh, but you know what's really crazy is like 2 days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, I got a warning on Instagram. I was like, stop it. Now Instagram is doing warnings for posts. So follow us on YouTube because we don't know how long this thing is ever gonna last. But nonetheless, share the page, share the page, share the page, share the page, share. Love to get new faces and new perspectives and just new opinions as often as we can. So invite people to the channel, share the page, and every Tuesday, this is what we do.
I wonder if that's a part of their test.
What?
As far as curbing defiant people, because obviously,
you mean making us be compliant,
but especially not just because they know they can get the masses to be compliant, but to get the rebellious people, the defiant ones, can we get them to be compliant? Can we get them to fall in line? Because I'm sure they use these studies in other areas, and they're going to take it, and over
Somewhere
time.
all this is going to be used somewhere.
Yeah, and especially after I saw whatever that was, that 2020 special or something like that, where they talked about all the different things that they were doing. I bet you that's a part of it. So they're probably taking, especially people like you, who are the rebellious, the defiant ones, the ones who what they call bucking the status quo system.
Yeah.
And can we get them to fall in line?
I believe. I mean, why would they not want to? As a social experiment,
right.
Why would you not want to see how long before we break them? How long before we make them conform to, to what we want? How strong are these people?
And then those studies can be used in different areas, not just social media, but different at the workplace, just in society. And not only that, once they figure out that, now they can go to, I'm sure you didn't watch that Black Mirror as I told you to, but now they can go into the using your likability as credit. Into getting you to do what they want you to do in order for your housing, what type of car you drive, what type of, credit cards all of that stuff. These are the experiments that they use early, because they know that everyone has a need, or not a need, but they have a desire to want to
communicate, engage,
communicate within society.
Yeah. And when social media has become most people's mode of transportation, most people's mode of communication, from 5 years old to 95 years old, they know that they know how to control us. And I think for me, I feel as though I think we're definitely moving towards like a RoboCop, like Total Recall kind of, like one day it's gonna, like, it's in the movies for a reason. One day that's what we're gonna have. Hopefully we'll be long gone before that type of shit happens. But it's like when they make humans robots, when humans are artificial intelligence. I don't even know, does that make them fucking human anymore if you have artificial intelligence? Probably not. But like when you're a humanoid with artificial intelligence, like all this data is collected for a reason, right? And I agree with you. Like, what are they going to do with this? How could they use this to their advantage? Because all of this is at our cost,
and
right?
You know what?
But they benefit.
I'm going further down my mind's path. I think I love making predictions and seeing if they come true.
Yeah, you do. You'll talk about their predictions too. I made a prediction one day.
I know. I sure will brag about it too if I see it happen. I think that our government is seeing that it's becoming less of a national thing and more of a world thing. Just communication, the way we operate in society, the way we do transactions, it's becoming a world thing. So with that in mind, I think the powers that be are preparing for the two-party political system to be a thing of the past. That was one mechanism of control that they had over us, that illusion of choice. Well, your vote matter. If you don't like it, then you get out and vote. People saying that's BS. And I think that as the world expands and we have more access to not just the country, but the world, we're going to do away with that two-party political BS system. And now they know
the two-party system has to go away.
They know that when it goes, what is going to be our next form of control, because we still got to control the masses some type of way. Now, I think their social media, they see the control that they have, but now they want to see how they can really manipulate that control. Not just, we need you on there, but we need you to say and think what we want you to say and think.
Yep. Well, and of course, that's why they use the feature like violation of community standards and stuff like that to say that you broke a rule and control the flow of information. Like, I'm trying to think there was something that happened. And I honestly don't. It's probably all related to, you know, the school shooting in Uvalde that happened last week. Just all the things that are coming out every day, right? And I remember there was something that came out last week, or I think it was when Beto rushed Greg Abbott at that press conference or whatever, and I was like, this is probably why I'm in Facebook jail, because if I was not in Facebook jail this week, I would probably go to Facebook jail this week. Just, you know, I don't have the most warm sentiments toward the police, right? And so just the things that have taken place in the last week, you know, with the Uvalde police down there, I realize, right? Like you can't just be reckless with your mouth, and you can't just say anything. Like, yes, we do have free speech, but there's not, you know, freedom of consequence. And on a social media platform, it's private, so they can really say what they do or they don't want to be said on there. But the danger is the flow of the control of information. I was gonna say something. I totally just lost my freaking train of thought. But I know I was just thinking about being in Facebook jail and how I'm not able to share information, or, you know, say the things that I want to say to who I need to say it to, or link up with the people that I need to link up to. Like when you get these 30-day stints in Facebook jail, and like you don't have access to any of your pages, and you really do utilize social media for a lot of reasons besides just talking to people. 30 days is a long time to be restricted, like really and truly, for saying shoot first, ask questions later. That's all I said. And then I think about all of the stuff that I've seen in the last, you know, week or two on social media that's a million times worse. Like the kid who shot the people in Buffalo. Like they showed, before like details were given, like they showed the first woman that he shot and the second woman that he shot in that grocery store. And I'm like, how is this able to be disseminated all over social media? How did the kid from Uvalde be able to post messages on social media about what he's gonna do? You know what I'm saying? And none of that gets flagged, you know. So the whole see something, say something is some fucking bullshit, honestly, because the powers that be, who are supposed to be monitoring certain words, because they got me. My girlfriend was like, it's because you said shoot. You literally said the word shoot, and that's what it was. I'm like, because I didn't say anything offensive. I didn't say what I'm going to do. I just said shoot first, ask questions later, which is a line in, you know, movies. So I could have been quoting a movie. So it's just real funny about what is sensitive content by definition of sensitive content, and what they think is or isn't.
But in all honesty, Nikki, I wholeheartedly believe I could post the same thing you just said right now and nothing happens to me.
Oh, you're probably right. Or you'd at least get a warning of some sort. Oh, we have to remove this.
I don't think I just think I'm not in their crosshairs.
You're not tagged enough.
Right. I haven't been labeled as one of those. I don't know how I escaped it, but I have somehow.
So what do you think if like one day it comes out like to everybody that that was taking place? Like that they do that.
I'm like, let me pull up this old episode.
This Freethinkers episode from May 31st.
I'm gonna be good with my my little cut and paste clips, my little short clips. Then I'm gonna be able to just put all my little prediction clips out there, 15, 20 seconds. Let them have it.
Damn it. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like any. I really don't like anything that has anything to do with this automated, just this AI, just this technological dependence that we have. Like I'm really, I don't know. And this is all shit that you think about when you have 30-day bans, when you're like, oh, I can't post, or oh, I can't do this, or like I can't do anything, right? And you just, I guess you don't think about those things until you're restricted or you don't have those anymore. But then for me, the free thinker of me, the deep thinker of me goes way beyond that. And then I just get like pissed because I'm not one of those kind of people that you should be banning from social media. You know, like I don't.
Man, in all honesty, I'm still confused. Like, how could that saying shoot first, ask questions later? How could that? I don't get it. I don't get it.
And maybe it's
there's tons of videos of people at the gun range shooting. They'll show police shooting people. They'll show people shooting people. They'll show all of the most vulgar, disgusting murders, homicides, everything that you could think of. But you saying that is, it's confused. I think you're part of a research study and you don't know it.
part of the scheduled group,
Mm-hmm.
the controlled group.
Yep.
They already know. Let's just see how long it takes for her to break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely am going to just use Facebook different. And honestly, I had been since my last little 30-day jail stint. I really and truly so when I said shoot first, ask questions later, I thought that was a better response than what I really wanted to say. And so I was really surprised that
maybe
got
it's a type of back and forth. Maybe the conversation gets flagged as a heightened.
Maybe I went back and I read the other comments on that same post that I posted to, and it was hella foul and vile. Yeah. I was like, I didn't say anything different than anybody else. Now, not that I know how, who else got, violations or whatever, but it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Danger of monopolies.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely a monopoly right now.
So what do you think about the new update with Elon not now the Twitter purchase is on the back burner? Have you followed any of that at all?
No, I don't follow anything.
So last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, he was sounding like some damn buyer's remorse. And I could be wrong on this. So obviously, as I always say, do your own research. I may be messing this up somewhere, but nonetheless, shortly after he committed to the purchase, the $46 billion purchase of Twitter, within, I don't know, a week or two of this taking place, something had come out that he was putting it on hold because the user accounts on Twitter, I guess the bots hadn't been verified. So basically what he's saying is that there's too many robot accounts on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't want to buy Twitter if you got this exorbitant amount of fucking robots, not even authentic accounts, versus what he thought he was purchasing when there were authentic accounts. And people are like, did he not look into that before he decided to make this purchase? How do you just make a $46 billion trigger purchase and then a week or 2 weeks later be like, oh, well, there's too many spam accounts, so I'm going to maybe change my mind? It's weird. It's interesting.
Yeah, that could, that could be something they didn't anticipate. Or the other thing is the news itself. If the news itself did not generate the type of response he wanted, meaning the stocks didn't jump when they heard Elon Musk was getting into Twitter. See, because in the past, Elon Musk, he'll say one thing about a certain company, or he says something about Bitcoin, and it'll immediately jump or it'll immediately drop, depending on what he says about it. So his words has an immediate trigger reaction based upon the type of information he puts out. And if him purchasing Twitter didn't get the right type of response, then he's like, maybe this is not going to do what I thought it was. I'm gonna back out.
Well, and ironically, saying that, they said that, I want to say it was Twitter stock or maybe Tesla stock, I don't remember which of the two, but has gone down a bit ever since this has taken place, since him talking about buying it has taken place. So obviously it's dollars related, but I don't know, it's just interesting to me to make such a bold move and then pull out so quickly, no big deal. And then I think they even said one of the other Twitter owners stepped down and backed away from the deal. So I think that it's been said that he's still probably gonna buy it, but now they've changed where the money's gonna come from, and he's going to fund more, I think, out of his own pocket than what was originally planned. So interesting. See how that goes.
Dropped over the last month. I'm looking at stocks now.
Yeah. Are you looking at Tesla or are you looking at Twitter?
Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter definitely dropped.
Yep.
So Who knows?
That's it, huh? They didn't like the
always a
hype.
money
They didn't
thing
like
with
the hype
businessmen.
that spawned. I guess it wasn't the hype they were looking for. Damn, that's interesting.
But that's what they always do. They do that with the public and the masses all the time.
Yeah.
They'll make some type of statement. They wait to see the reaction from it. In this case, it's going to be stocks tell you. In other cases, it's going to be the backlash. It's going to be people boycotting. It's going to, like the Will Smith and Chris Rock thing. Everybody's going to cancel Will Smith, and they postponing all of his movies because they're waiting to see what the backlash is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not backlash, they'll keep going. If it is, then they'll distance themselves from it. So that's
Isn't it crazy how that has like totally died down too? Like just now it's gone. I mean, and things should die down, but it was so hot for so long, and then boom, now no one talks about that anymore. No more is the Chris Rock.
But that's the thing they tell you though. Chris Rock hasn't said a lot about it.
Right.
Will Smith made a statement, and then he hadn't said a lot. So there is, and that's a life lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful about, if you want something to die down, what type of fuel are you still giving to the fire?
Right.
And some things will just die down if you leave it alone. But people feel like, no, I gotta say something. I gotta,
bring it back up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They gotta get whenever you feel like you have to have the last word all the time, you're gonna continue to fuel fire on something that's dead. The wood is burned. Right. Now you just all what they say, gassed up. You straight on fumes because you just keep on. It's fire on something that's just dead already. Mm-hmm. Like if you stop putting this lighter fluid on there, then it's gonna die out pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. True. Did you have any topics? Did you have any posts that you scrolled across? I know I tagged you a few times on Instagram in the last week, but I don't know if you saw any of those.
I don't know, but maybe I don't know if it was Instagram or something that I saw in Messenger. But I saw something. I don't know if this came from you or somebody else. I saw something about Ricky Williams is going to take his wife's last name.
Yes. So he did. He took his wife's last name. And he said it was an act of marriage equality, balancing out the marriage roles, because like when they would go places, naturally he would get all of the attention. He was Ricky Williams, and nobody knew who she was. He was like, people forgot who she was. And in my mind, I was just like, well, who the fuck is she? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know athletes, right? So I don't know athletes, women either. But I'm like, I don't know who this chick is. Like, I don't know who she was. If she was somebody before she met him, and now she's just Ricky Williams' wife, and she's feeling some type of way because now her last name doesn't matter anymore. But the fact that he changed his last name and then he took her last name, me and Smack talked about this last night, and I was like, he's literally whitewashing himself out. Like, if he has a son, his son's not going to have his last name. His son's going to have her last name, which is fine. But how do you carry on your legacy?
You don't have to.
What?
He don't have to. The son doesn't have to take the wife's last name.
I mean, he doesn't, but if we all have the same last name, don't we generally all have the same last name? You know what I'm saying? Like,
but what I'm saying is, a lot of times, especially in single parent households, the woman will give the child their last name versus the father's if he's not in the picture.
Well, if he's not in the picture sometimes, but generally the kid will get the dad's last name.
It happens. It doesn't automatically.
Right, but they're married. So they're married. So obviously mom and dad are in the same house. Like, they have a kid. How? So let's say he
marriage though. In all marriages, the spouse doesn't take the last name of the wife doesn't take the last name of the husband.
True. But when the decision is made, it's never made for, you know what? We're going to go ahead and you just take my last name.
It's a different dynamic.
And and everybody can do what they want, right? You have that choice to do so, but I just find that really strange for a man to take on a woman's last name with the potential of having children, and then what do you name your child after this baby is born? Are there no more, is there no longer does the Williams lineage stop with Ricky? You know? And then it's weird because he's a black man married to a white woman and he takes her name, and it's just like, I know Ricky Williams has always been an interesting one. You know, we're from Austin, so we know people that know him and know him type shit, right? But it's like there's a you know, I don't know if you saw any of what Tariq Nasheed said, but
I can imagine what he said. But hold
you
on.
already know.
Yeah, I can
you
imagine.
already know. But you can't dismiss that though.
I got a question though. I have a thought type question.
Okay.
And this is weird because since it's Ricky Williams, I guess Ricky Williams got scolded and clowned and demeaned for his stance on marijuana 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
When it came to, if this is how I manage, you know, through the off half of the week, I'm in a physical contact sport. I don't want to take these painkillers and things that's going to damage my body. This is a natural way that helps me cope and manage. And people called him all types of names and said he was stupid, and he didn't, you know, he just wasn't in the loop, just doing dumb stuff. And then we come to find out later as we evolve, you know, his line of thinking was more correct than what other people who talked about him.
Right.
So for people like that, when they step out and do and it wasn't that he was just doing it, but he would openly speak about it versus most people just shut up and they wouldn't say anything.
Right.
But he was open about his marijuana use. So in a situation with someone like him where he was given a bad rap and misunderstood and came out that he was on the side of right, do we give him leeway? Like, all right, he's a forward-thinking person. This sounds crazy right now, but who's to say 20 years later that it won't be the norm? That people will, when it comes to that time, they will decide whose name they want to take.
No. And is this
why free thinker? Why?
I know, right? So
give me a free thinker.
Is this a patriarchal like conditioning where it just does not feel right to me?
It sounds like it.
It just does not feel right to me for a man to take a woman's last name. Like, isn't that like contradictory to like everything that like the marriage tenets are supposed to be, and biblically and all this stuff? Like, the woman takes the man's name, and I guess realistically, why does the woman have to take his name too? But like, that just seems to be part of the deal. Like, when you get married, you take on your, like, y'all are one, you got the same last name. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that that's going to be something that's ever going to be popular, is men taking women's last name. Just like I don't think women.
Well, maybe not popular, but would it be acceptable though?
I mean, if it's not the societal norm, it's probably never going to be accepted. So there would have to be a large number of people who are now deciding to take their woman's last name instead of their man's last name. But it's the same thing for women who propose to men. I don't like that. Like, I mean, it's not even my business. It's not my relationship. But like, no, like there's just certain things are supposed to be a certain way, and that ain't it to me. And I know that's not free thinking, and I
got the free thinkers hat on. See, I had to put my big free thinkers hat because my initial knee-jerk reaction was like, what the? But then, like, let me break this down logically. And then even like what Edward was saying, he removed his last name because he said it wasn't really his. That was one of my thoughts too. I'm like, okay, Williams, I'm sure that was just a slave owner's name somewhere.
And I get that. We talked about that last night. I get that. That probably wasn't his name either, you know.
And then,
so why did they make up a name together? Like, why did they come up with a new name together? Like, if you're trying to like
and that's
hide
what I'm
in the shadows of celebrity status, because it's not like she didn't know who she was marrying when she married him. Why did they pick up a name together?
That's a good idea. And I'm still in conflict about that, because I'm really debating getting rid of my last name, my German slaveholder's last name.
Are you really?
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about it for like the last 10 years at least.
No shit. Okay.
And it wouldn't be me. And I think, if when it comes time for me to, and this is what I've really been thinking, when it comes time for me to get remarried again, that would be the perfect time for us to
pick a name.
Get a whole new,
what do we want our name to be, baby?
We coming up with a whole new last name.
Wow. So would you then change your kids' names too? To just give your lineage all new last names?
I would want to. That's part of the main reason that I want to do it. I don't want it's not even so much about me, because I like my last name is unique. So anytime there's somebody last name Tyus, then usually we're related. Right. Or at least we came from the same plantation, but it's not a lot of us around. And then we all pretty much come from a specific plantation in Tennessee.
Oh shit. You've done the research.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. As much research as we can do, it's still a lot of gaps in there. But I don't want my children, especially my son, because with daughters, if they get married, women are more open to changing their last name anyway at a certain point when they get married. But especially for my son, I don't want his identity to be caught up in a slaveholder's name, number one. And then number two, I don't want him to look at that point, that plantation being the starting point of our family line. That's not our starting point. Our starting point is way before that. And just even having a name, and my name would be from somewhere. I've done my African ancestry. And if I did pick a name, it just wouldn't be another American name. It would be a name that is either common or, has some significance in the area that my roots came from.
Okay. I was going to ask you if you already have something that you have in mind. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the different, because I'm from I'm semi Gabon / Congo area. And my fiance is from Senegal. It would be something, looking at names in those areas that would be. So yeah, I want my son to look past the slavery part. Our history didn't start with slavery. Started way before that.
Before this. Right.
And that's the mindset. And even without us knowing it, a lot of times we perpetuate by holding on to that slaveholder. I'm talking myself into changing it right now. As longer we hold on to that slaveholder's name, then we're teaching our children not to educate ourselves past that point.
Damn. How's your family feel? How's your parents feel about that? Are they okay with that?
Well,
or is your dad like, wait a minute?
I sparingly have these conversations with them, and it is some pushback when they hear that a lot of times. And I'm like,
yeah. I mean, but they understand what your reason is, I would imagine,
Right.
But
I mean, we are proud people. We definitely some proud people.
Right.
And I'm looking to take the proudness to the next step.
Wow. Yeah, and so that was my thing. It's like, if you're picking new names, then why don't we just pick a new name? Like, why don't we just come up with something together? Now, I understand that, like, the first name he changed his name to, like, is one of his names, whether it's his middle name, I don't know. So was it Eric, Errick, or some shit in there? Whatever his name is now. But
that's his last name?
No, the last name is whatever her last name is. It's an interesting last name, but his first name is like Eric or something. It's spelled a little bit differently. But apparently that is one of his like names now. I don't know if it's his middle name or like his first name. I don't even know what his fucking real name actually is. So I don't know. I just know whatever we knew him as, Ricky Williams, that ain't who he is. He's not answering to Ricky Williams no more. And
so as a free thinker.
Okay.
What if we're going into this world of equality now? What's the problem with it?
I mean, everybody doesn't agree with all things modern today. So, like, in this world of equality, I still believe in a lot of gender roles. I still
Let me
believe
ask
in
a
some
question.
things being what they are. So
I don't know if
maybe I'm the wrong person to answer that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you, I don't know the way that you view God, because some people, just view God as a spirit. Some people view God as nature or the universe or all things within the universe. Some people look at God as a reflection of themselves. So the same way that we have a head, 2 arms, 2 legs is the same way God made us in our image. So God also has 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, and God made us the way that he made themselves. So my question would be, and I guess this only applies if you subscribe to this train of thought. Would God be more of a man than he is a woman?
I don't think God is a man.
You think God is a woman?
I think that God is of the feminine form.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So, okay, I believe both. I believe
Okay.
equally both. But if you went to the woman side, then why not? So if you believe that the woman is the closest thing to God, which I can actually agree with that from a certain standpoint, because if you're talking about creation and God being the creator, what's more creative than a woman who has the ability to reproduce?
Right.
That's the closest thing to God right there.
I'm saying.
I mean, reproduction, but then men also have. Never mind, I ain't gonna go down.
And I mean, and so this is the conversation we get into, because people say, well, but you can't get pregnant without the man, and I'm like, well, that's true. I mean, women do need the sperm to be able to create this life, but there would be no life creation without women. You could just have a bunch of men walking around with sperm. That's it. Exactly. But if there's nowhere to put it, there's going to be no life forms to be able to create. I don't know. Maybe it's just because, again, maybe it's just the conditioning that I'm just so comfortable with the conditioning and the way things are. There's a lot of things I'm very flexible on. There's a lot of things I'm not flexible. I just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And maybe that's part of the problem, is maybe it never should have been that way to begin with, and then we wouldn't have these issues today. Maybe we never should have had a boy and girl. Maybe everybody should have just been fucking fluid from day one, and we never would have had these issues. You know what I'm saying? But because we've been conditioned and raised and, just created in a certain way up to this point, like, there's just some things for me are not interchangeable. And I don't think that makes me any less of a free thinker. I just, I don't know. Maybe that's the challenge for me.
So now I'm wondering, I think I'm all over the place right now. I'm wondering if specific, I like to forget about this right here. I like to see 10, 20, 30 years down the road. I like to project. So I'm wondering if, because I wholeheartedly believe that there's definitely a difference between men and women.
Right.
But then my question becomes, was there a difference, or has there been a difference because of the need to survive? Like, a lot of times you can grow or obtain certain attributes because you have to in order to survive. Maybe there you had to adapt. So maybe, when there's lions and tigers and bears, there had to be one gender who armed themselves to be able to be a protector and a provider and a hunter, and they needed the physical attributes in order to do certain things, versus, you also have to have someone who can nurture children and help bring them up as well. So that's where biologically the roles can split. But let's fast forward to today's society. What do men really need those muscles for? What do we need that extra strength for? We don't need to hunt in the way that we did back then.
Right.
There's a lot of things that we may have needed that we just don't need anymore. So, and even women, when it comes to certain things that you don't have to use your breast to nurse.
Right.
There's other alternatives.
Right.
So as we, I guess I'm just thinking out loud, as we come into a society to where we don't need those basic survival instincts, then it could also be, we could be evolving into a place to where we don't need those same gender roles because they're not necessary for survival anymore. If a feminine man, or a man that's more on the feminine side, I can't even believe I'm saying this stuff, partners with a more masculine woman, it doesn't, their relationship or their livelihood is not in danger from that.
What do you mean their livelihood's not in danger? Because they can still reproduce, or what?
They can still reproduce. They don't have to hunt. He don't have to be the strong man in order to hunt and kill and protect and do all of these things. You can get by with your brain in society and function well as a couple or a partnership in today's society. So when those things are not needed, is it just natural evolution that these things start to change and we get rid of those labeled roles that we have?
Okay, so
that's a loaded question, huh?
So in evolution, as animals have evolved and no longer needed certain things because climate has changed, the environment has changed, what used to be legs is now, flippers. What used to be, lungs is now exclusively gills. What used to be, water only can now walk on water and can be on land. So, I mean, like, we know that with evolution, as animals or species, not necessarily humans, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, but, animal species certainly have obtained features or lost features that they no longer needed to be able to continue their species.
Right.
I don't think that we haven't lost anything. I think that we have, even when you get into like the transgender conversation, like there's still functioning male parts of that person, and there may be functioning female parts of that person too. I acknowledge that. Like I fully acknowledge that. I think if it was on such a grand scale, we would eventually wouldn't we eventually lose some of those things, just like animals have lost those things as they no longer needed them anymore to survive? Like, wouldn't we lose part of that?
That's my question.
But I don't see that happening.
See, because we don't see it because it's evolution is such a slow process,
right?
And even when you think about the giraffe, it was millions of years of evolution that took that giraffe to stretch his neck out in order to be able to reach food in higher places when it couldn't reach food.
Right.
So it's something that we may not directly see, but it could be such a slow process to where that's where it's evolving over time. Even think about the transgender community. Even let's go back to the argument that a lot of fundamentalists have, where it goes against the laws. When if you're homosexual, it goes against the laws of recreation. You are on this earth to help recreate and repopulate the earth. When you do that, then you're setting. Do we really need more people on earth right now? No.
Right.
We've come. We're getting closer to technology to where we don't even need the actual act of sex in order to reproduce.
Yeah, and that becomes a dangerous part. Like that's not that's not natural reproduction.
So okay, hold on. We call it dangerous.
That's not
is
a
it
knock on
dangerous or is it
artificial
evolution?
Reproduction. Do what?
I said, is it dangerous or is that just evolution?
I think it's dangerous. But that's just my opinion because I feel some type of way about that. I feel like the genetic code of men, the DNA code of men is what it is, and the DNA code of women is what it is, right? Now, of course, I do acknowledge and I do understand that there are, a combination of other X's and Y's and Y's and X's and shit like that. And this is where oftentimes you have the transgender conversation, where you have people who are born with both sexes. You have people who are born with, an absorbent amount of the female genes or male's genes, but nonetheless, they still have a penis or a vagina, or like, I get all that takes place, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like up until this point, and the only reason I think that it could maybe be something that could start happening now is because we have so much technology involved and so much medication involved and so many pharmaceuticals involved and so many toxins being pumped into our systems and involved that could literally actually change the genetic code of men and women to now be some fucking transhuman. And I don't mean trans as a transgender, just a transformed human of a different, I don't even know what you fucking call it, a different species, a different race. I don't know.
Is that evolution? and even with
I don't feel like it's evolution if it's not man-made, if it's not naturally occurring. I don't feel like that's evolution. I feel like that is, if it's not man-made, it's not natural. And by way of pumping medication.
What are you saying is not man-made? I mean, man make the medicine, right?
But it's not naturally occurring, you know.
No, it's not naturally
occurring.
People can argue that even with synthetics, once you have a full grasp and understanding of the periodic table of elements, whether you get it from nature or you get it in a laboratory, they're still using the same elements.
Maybe.
That's what, in most cases, that's what happened. They would find a natural herb or something like that, and they would break the herb down and find out the components, the compounds of the elements that's involved in it to make it do a certain thing, and then they recreate it in the laboratory.
Yeah,
and it just looked like a pill instead of a herb, but I mean, it's still desired to have the same effect.
Yeah, but it's been modified. It's like GMO, right? It's a genetically modified version of something, and like that's just not its naturally occurring state. So like I think they could force men and women to create a new species. Really and truly, I do.
So you've seen in some sci-fi movies where you know, they make like a cyborg human. What if they come to the place to where we can, you know, men and women, everybody get them old knees and you have a hard time walking? What if at a certain time we're like, hey, we can genetically modify those knees, put in some steel, titanium, such and such, and you can jump 30 feet in the air and you'll be strong. You know, your legs will be strong as they need to be for the rest of your life. Would you not call that evolution? Just because it's man-made, that don't mean it's not an evolution.
I think that's evolution. That's just medical advances. I don't think that's evolution, because that
was my question though. Technology, the advancement of technology, why would that not be perceived as evolution if it brings you to a more superior form? You wouldn't call the invention of guns evolution? I mean, some people wouldn't, but it allows you to,
I mean, you evolve,
and it allows you to kill at a different rate than you could using your bare hands.
True. Let me see. Evolution. I'm going to look up the definition of evolution, because I think that maybe I have a specific idea when I think of the word evolution. Let's see. Evolution. In biology, evolution is the change in the characteristics of a species over several generations and relies on the process of natural selection. The theory of evolution is based on the idea that all species are related and gradually change over time.
And again, the key word you said, starting off in biology.
In biology.
Now, what about in chemistry? You know what I'm saying? It could be different forms of evolution. It's different rules to different games.
I just see, and this is how I feel my understanding of evolution to be. Dangerous, can't reproduce
the soul. Oh man, I'm gonna touch on that in a second. That is deep.
I agree. I agree.
I agree too, but the question is, since I'm totally free right now, I'm saying a bunch of stuff I don't believe none of it, but I'm freely thinking. Will there ever be a time where we can reproduce the soul? And if not, so
I don't think so.
What was Terminator 2 then?
A robot.
But they gained awareness
I mean, you can teach
iRobot.
You can teach it.
They didn't
But
teach
you
the
don't
robot
have
to gain awareness, though.
you
That's
can
something that.
you can teach it. You can teach it. I mean, you can write the program to teach the robot that this is what compassion is, or this is. But that doesn't mean they have that. It's not even a live thing. Like,
I think okay. So if it gets
no,
the thing is
it's robot. It's no
with
soul.
Terminator 2 and iRobot. Terminator 2, they said, hey, we tried to pull the plug. When the robots knew that they were trying to pull the plug, they said, no, we don't want to. In iRobot, Sonny, he was like, I don't want to die. I think I want to live. I want to be around here. That's a soul. You acknowledge you want to continue existing.
That's just a want to continue existing. That doesn't mean you have a soul. That doesn't mean that I
think
I don't know if it's the same thing.
I think that's the definition of a soul. When you take upon actions that will allow you to continue to exist. You have to have an awareness of something that's a different type of awareness.
But you can program a computer to do anything, though. A computer is designed to mimic literally whatever it's designed to mimic. So it can do the movements and the sounds and the facial expressions of sadness or pain, but it doesn't mean that it feels those things. And I don't feel like if you can't feel it,
who's to say at some point they won't? Especially when you keep creating intuition with computers and you're teaching computers to be problem solvers. So it doesn't even have to be a direct. It's not anything direct that you told the computer to do, but based upon the several experiences that they have, then the computer decides what would be the best. Even like they're not directly telling you what to put on your Facebook timeline, but just based off of a collection of things that you like and that you respond to, then the computer starts saying, I think Nikki would like this. Why don't I show a commercial for this thing right here? Why don't I show for this? And because some of the stuff is just things that you've talked about before. Some of it is things that you haven't, but the computer has come to the conclusion they've used what you call that? They proactively say this is something that this person will probably like. That's progressive. That's leading you in the direction of having your own mind and your own conscience.
That's every bad AI movie ever, is where they all of a sudden now have feelings and
all these movies are fake over. And they have no bearing to it, and they'll never be true.
Say that again?
I said all of these AI movies are fake. There's no real bearing to them, and they'll never be true.
You believe that?
No, I'm saying that's what you're saying. Just because
these are all I don't know. I don't know. I think them to be. I think those are precursors. I think that they are foreshadowing. Absolutely.
And you've heard me say this before. I think God is what connects not just all people, but everything, matter, atoms. Everything is connected. We're still all made of the same stuff, whether it's me or this. This computer still made of the same. It's the same elements. We still made up of the same elements, and we're all connected in some form or fashion. So when it comes to, I think this is what I think. I don't think there is any such thing as a new thought. If you say, oh, I just had this crazy idea. It was new for you.
Right.
But the thought itself wasn't new. I think every thought comes from the creator, a central existence and awareness that you just at that particular time you tapped into. So anyway, I said all that to say, I don't think people just come up with these crazy AI movies just because they just had this, this weird idea. I think they're tapping into possibilities of things that has happened, can happen, may be happening in another universe or something that is to come. But it's still they're tapping into a God element of something that has the potential to exist on some form. So that's what I think. I don't overlook I don't overlook any of that stuff.
So then if God didn't create the AIs, if God hasn't created the robots, if God didn't create those versus God creating humans, however we understand God to be, if God didn't create those robots and God didn't create, but God created humans, then can they ever have a soul? Like can you have a soul if you don't if your creator is a scientist, in a warehouse somewhere versus a human that's designed by God's creation? Is that a robot can't? I don't think a robot can have a soul.
What gives people a soul? If you believe, some people don't believe people have a soul. I definitely believe we do.
I definitely believe people have a soul.
So what gives us a soul? How do we obtain a soul?
It's just it's who we are. It's what we were born with. We were born as a soul, and then we came out with legs and arms.
So do you believe that the creator gave us a soul?
I believe that as a human, we just have a soul, and I believe that we were designed by the creator. So the creator had to. I don't want to say the creator picked the soul out, but the creator created the person, and the person has a soul.
So who's to say that we can't replicate that? So so we go back to millions of years ago, and if you even go biblically, then the Bible just talks about we dirt. That's where the ashes dust come from. You came from dirt, you're gonna go back to the dirt,
right?
So maybe at that point in time, at that level of evolution, God used dirt in order to embody our soul. And now in this point in time, when we try to recreate the same way God does, we might use steel, we might use different elements. But what makes dirt more valuable than an element that we use? And who's to say we can't encapsulate a soul in the same way?
I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I guess anything is possible if you think that anything is possible. I just don't think that robots of any form or fashion have a soul. Nor do I think that
vibes. I like what they said. Robots and iRobot was saving the wrong people. That's not having a soul. Let me push back on that, Static Vibes.
Now I got to go back and watch iRobot. It's been a minute.
Now, and that's a good point. And that's the reason why Will Smith's character had a thing about robots, because they didn't have that discernment or judgment on what's most important and what to do at the right time. That was at a specific period in time. Remember Will Smith? That happened with Will Smith years and years and years before the actual story of the movie came out. And the difference was Sonny was an evolved version of a robot, and Sonny was able to differentiate those two. So my whole thing is there is a curve of evolution that happens, just like we were cavemen at one time, just knocking each other over the head and eating raw meat, and there was an evolution that came and said, you know what, no, it's not going to be socially acceptable for us to just, knock people over the head whenever we want to. And there is a curve and a time period of evolution that happens. So even though he was right, I think just like, and even if right now we don't have the ability to get robots to decipher those differences, think about how far we've come just in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
How much smarter are robots now than they were 20 years ago?
Right.
And 20 years in the grand scope of just humanity on Earth is this.
Right.
That's nothing. That's like a weekend.
Right.
Just a thought.
I think that robots can be created and programmed to be the smartest, most intelligent things in the world, really and truly, and will at some point take over humans. Will absolutely at some point take over the human. But I just don't think that a robot has a soul, and I don't think that it's gonna get one.
Let me ask. Okay, I got some. All right. I'm slightly
even
off
the Tin Man. Look, the Tin Man didn't even have no heart. The Tin Man had to go to the wizard, try to get him a heart.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he just thought he did. That's like you had it all the time. Now, everything that
Like,
you need.
no, I don't know. I guess maybe my vision of soul comes from a living live being, because I think the animals have souls too.
Okay, that was my next question. Let's go here.
Okay.
Does all animals have souls?
I think that all living beings do. Yeah, absolutely.
So plants have souls also?
I've never thought about plants having souls, because they are living beings. You know, I've never thought about a plant having a soul, but I definitely value plants as like a spiritual energy for me. Like I literally I talk to my plants. Like plants are definitely living things, but I don't know if there's a soul in a plant. I never thought about that.
Yeah. All right, static vibes. I got to come back at you again. I like what you said. A soul is a free will, consciousness. Make a decision based on a thought, not a programming. Ooh-wee. So on the flip side, and I might be taking this a little too far, I would argue that people are programmed right now. And most people have been programmed since the day they came out the womb. Does that mean that we don't have a soul? Just because you're programmed, that don't mean that you don't have a soul.
Free will, consciousness, make a decision based on a thought is not programmed.
Just because something is programmed, that doesn't exclude the ability for it to have a soul.
I still think you have to be a living being. I think for me that's just
what's
like
living? What is living?
The conscious awareness, like
See,
a live heart beating, blood pumping.
Why?
That's because that's what a living being
what you've
is.
been programmed.
That's what
to
a
believe
living,
what living is.
I bet if we broke down those words definition by definition, word by word, that's what a living being is.
What is a word? A word is nothing more than an attempt to convey a thought. Look, I just got done watching The Last Matrix again the other day, so I'm on it right.
I pulled up the definition of soul. I wanted to see what the World Wide Web said. What's a soul? But let me see. What's a soul?
And I'm joking, but I'm serious. I don't overly take stock in words. It really is an attempt to convey a thought.
Well, I mean, but it's a true point. What's a word? That's what they told us a word was. They said this is what a word is, so this is what we call words. We call words because they told us they're called words. But what's a word? All right. True. Soul. The spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal regarded as immortal.
Okay, hold on. Say what are you giving the definition to again?
Soul.
Soul. Okay, say it one more time.
The spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal regarded as immortal. The second definition was emotional or intellectual energy or intensity, especially as revealed in a work of art or an artistic performance. Their interpretation lacked soul.
Oh, okay. So I think the first definition is more
spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal regarded as immortal. But that's interesting because aren't robots technically like immortal?
What? No, I don't think
you can obviously pull them apart, you can kill them, but like, isn't it the whole part of a robot is like they can always come back?
So my argument is that thing that doesn't want to die is the soul. That's the immortal part of a thing. Because if all you are just, atoms and molecules, you'll always be that. Even in dirt, even after your body dies, it's still nothing happens. It's just energy transferred. So if you didn't have a soul, then that wouldn't bother you. But the fact that we don't want to die, or we have a fear of death, or we have a desire to continue on, even if it's through our seeds, that's a sign of a soul. So even if no matter what it is, if a robot can come to that conclusion that it doesn't want to be distinguished, I would challenge that the robot has or is developing a soul.
I just have to say no. Right. No, and I see why you say what you say, and it makes sense, but I guess I just maybe can't separate my brain from the actual design of how this robot was created, how it was made, that it is not a human, it's not human form, it doesn't have human insides, it has computer insides, it has, you know, I just can't wrap my brain around that part to separate the two, to think that that's even a possibility, because it's just a bucket of metal, in my opinion. But like, I don't foresee. I think that they can program these robots to do a whole lot of things that mimic humans, but that becomes every robot human movie war, is that the robots can't be humans. They can't do certain things that humans can do. You know, they can do everything except feel. They can do everything except maybe love. They can do everything except have, you know, empathy. They can do everything except have compassion, possibly, right? I just I just see them as I see them as robots. I don't see them as anything that could be considered with a soul. And so I'd be curious to see how this changes.
Let me say this. Let me again. I'm gonna drive this point home. And if you feel that way right now, then I tell you.
Right.
But
it's interesting thought, though. That's for damn sure.
Let's go back. Think about the way you felt about robots 25 years ago versus now. Can you confidently say in another 25 years that there won't be so much evolution to where robots gain a soul? In another 20, just think about how far they've come in the last 25 years versus another 25 years.
Right. I mean, anything is possible. I definitely won't say that it's never going to happen, but I just don't think that it's the same thing. But it's damn possible.
Yeah. So that was
so this, what I say, true. It's a different type of programming, though. You still have free will to accept and decline programming as a human. Robot has to accept whatever is updated. True. We get to decide whether we do or we don't. Robots are going to have to do whatever they're programmed to do. And this is where every other robot evil movie comes into play, where the robot bucks the fucking system.
That's what I'm saying.
Writes its own system or rewrites its system.
And that's the Static Vibes. You saying right, but I'm telling you, I'm looking down the future. You may be looking at robots from the current raw still in the raw state. The robots are still in their caveman state right now.
Right.
Once they get to the state that we are right now, when they get to the, who's to say? Who's to say?
See, there we go. Robots cannot form a soul, but they can gain consciousness the more we teach them. And that I believe, that I truly believe that. Because you see the advancements in technology. You know, like, I don't know if you watched any of that show called The 100. It got really weird as like seasons went on. There's a bunch
I watched 4400, but that was
I watched a little bit of that one too. The 100
was the one. Which one was that one?
Where they all lived up on space, and they sent 100. They were sending 100 of the bad kids down to Earth to see if it was livable. By the time it got to like season, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there, they were now dealing with AI technology, and it was a very interesting season to just watch how you had this one civilization, you know, who was up in they called them the Star People, who was from space, and then like living alongside these AI these AI technology. They didn't know it was AI, you know, and she was so evil, and she was so manipulative, and she was cunning, and she was horrible. But of course, her mission was to like wipe out whatever was left and make everybody become AI. So I mean, I think that I think it's dangerous. I think robots is dangerous. I think that the programmers are dangerous. I think that they can be programmed to be dangerous. I think they can be programmed to do a lot of things, but I still don't think they can ever have. They're just never going to have the human elements.
Let me ask you what Gemini is saying right here. They cannot. They can gain consciousness. They cannot form a soul, but they can gain consciousness. Isn't gaining consciousness? Isn't that the starting point of having a soul?
No, because you can be You could be just aware. I mean, they could program the robot to be aware of
give
more
me an
things as
example of
time
something
goes
that's
on.
aware that doesn't have a soul. See, I think maybe we just get used to defining things in a certain type of way.
Maybe.
And we might need to expand the definition.
Maybe.
We probably should, because since we're not expanding the definition, that's why it's going to be so easy for us to be taken over by the machines. Because we're still continuing to walk in this ignorance like we have control, and we don't have control. Well, we barely have control at this point.
Right.
But the point, robots and machines actually gain consciousness, like everything, they're going to take our money. They can easily confuse our whole transaction, our money system, our society. We use computers. That's another thing. Did you watch Live Free or Die Hard with Bruce Willis?
Like forever ago? The last one?
No, it was one before the last one. But Live Free
Okay.
or Die Hard, it came out about 15
I
years
know
ago.
I've seen it.
It came
Yeah,
out
I know
about
I've seen it.
2007. But basically, they took over the technology realm, and it caused national chaos in a matter of moments. Just taking control over the street lights, taking control over the gas, the electricity, simple basic stuff that's all controlled by computers. And one guy hacked into it and caused all out chaos.
And that's gonna happen. Like we're gonna see that. That's gonna happen. I don't doubt.
But I'm saying that was a person hacking into the system.
I know.
Well, what happens when the computer decides we can easily take over these humans? Because their society. What happens when the computer gets the awareness and says we can easily take over these humans? They're
and that's what I'm saying. That's every evil robot movie ever made. It always takes over the humans.
So easy to get us to lose our. I mean, you do that for. I mean, I'm telling you, if we get to a place even during the pandemic, let it be 2 weeks and there's no food in the grocery stores. Like during that time, it just wasn't the stuff that you wanted, but it was still stuff there. Let it be no food for 2 weeks.
Right.
The whole social government is totally broken down. It's gonna be every man. You saw War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, right? The moment that broke down, people shooting each other to get a car that had gas in it. And they ain't care, man, woman, children. It's everybody for themselves at that point. Super easy, but I don't know. I think I got all of that out.
Have you seen, there's a show on, maybe it's on Netflix, or it was anyways. It was a movie. I want to say it's called Extinction. I think it's called Extinction.
No, I didn't see that.
You gotta check it out, because if I tell you what it's about, then it gives the movie away. So I really can't go into
Westworld, that was interesting.
Huh?
I saw some of Westworld. That was interesting.
Yeah, no, this was a movie. This wasn't a show. I take that back. It was a movie. And it was just, it's not like it's the first robot movie I'd ever seen or anything like that, to where this is like some brand new concept, this brand new movie plot theory. But I was really surprised that it was what it was, and I was like, whoa! Like, what if these are already among us? You know, I believe in reptilian people and all kinds of other little shit. But so I'm like, what if these transhumans are already here? Like, what if we already have these robot humans? You know what I'm saying? Like, living and working and just living all among us and around us, absorbing our information, learning our ways. I mean, you can't think that that's not actually possible. But I still don't think, with all that being said, that a robot would ever acquire a soul.
Acquire. See, that's why I lose you. If you say they don't have a soul right now,
acquire a soul, and I don't know how it could or how it would go about having a soul or having a conscience. I
believe we replicate, or we constantly make attempts to replicate in the same manner that our Creator replicated us. So in the same way that we were replicated, even if not exactly the same way, maybe not from dirt, but that's why I don't have a problem with somebody asked me this before about people replicating kids and the cloning and stuff like that. You don't have a choice. It's in you. It's in you to do it. It's in man to replicate the same way that we were replicated. That's my thought. And I believe it definitely will happen one day.
I do
Think about how far man, we talked about computers, but just think about how far man, 100 years ago, we were still riding horses.
Right.
Do you know how small 100 years is in comparison?
I know. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that long ago.
I mean, what some people, and I don't know, you know, biblically, people try to say we 8,000 years old. I hear some people say anywhere from 30 to 100,000 years old. But with that, 100 years, and just say, give it a rough estimate, 30,000 years, man has been in existence on this earth. 100 years is nothing. Right. If we've come to that level, we've evolved that much in such a short period of time. It's really scary because we're gonna really evolve and we're gonna recreate, or we're probably killing ourselves at the same time.
Burn ourselves out.
Yeah, I don't think evolution is designed to actually evolve that quickly.
As quickly as it's evolving now.
Yeah, anything that happens too quickly usually is to the detriment. That's like
true.
There's certain animals that over time, dinosaurs over thousands and millions of years, they, you know, went away.
Well, I don't believe dinosaurs ever existed, but I know what you mean.
Why don't you believe dinosaurs ever existed?
Because they didn't.
Okay, why do you think that?
So the question I was asking people, when people ask me that question, right? I answer a question with a question, right? So when people ask that question to me, like, why don't I used to believe in dinosaurs because we were taught that dinosaurs were, you know, but my question I tell people is, who came up with the sound of a dinosaur? How do we know? How do we know what a dinosaur sounds like? Nobody was alive. Nobody has ever heard a dinosaur.
True.
They gave us the sound of a dinosaur. And I do not believe, and you know, I don't, you know, I'm not a follower of the Bible. But dinosaurs are not mentioned in the Bible. Dinosaurs can't reproduce. Like how do dinosaurs have sex? How do they literally have sex? They're never, we were not taught they were asexual. Like they, you know, the women, the female dinosaurs don't just like have an egg and drop it out, or however the fuck dinosaurs do, but like dinosaurs can't mate. Where their mating parts can't be reached. Like, how does two Tyrannosaurus Rex have sex? How does two Brontos have sex? How does two pterodactyls? You know what I'm saying?
Have you seen the giant tortoises?
Yes.
Have you seen them have sex?
Even then, there's still ways.
No, have you seen them have sex?
I've seen turtles have sex on the internet, yeah.
The big turtles, the big, huge 1,000-pound turtles. I never would have like that. I'm like, how do they even have it? And I saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm sure. I mean, there's
so much more to the dinosaur theory, though. You know, the dinosaurs weren't even a thing until Disney created them. Really and truly, dinosaurs didn't exist forever. Dinosaurs just came about like, I want to say like in the 1900s in terms of us hearing about this dinosaur. So the existence of them has been, you know, it's a story. I've got a documentary on the story of the dinosaur, and I don't believe the dinosaurs existed.
I definitely feel that man has filled in a lot of the gaps where the information
is
there.
Right.
So the way that we see
that rate, couldn't a crocodile and an alligator be considered a dinosaur? You know,
they are.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so it's like dinosaur. The word dinosaur could be, there could be prehistoric. The fucking word I'm looking for, prehistoric species. You know, of a dinosaur family, right? But the picture of the dinosaur that we have been sold, the image of the dinosaur we have been sold, was literally for just that, for financial gain. And then Disney made dinosaurs up. Disney gave the dinosaur the roar, the loud sound. Most every museum doesn't have actual real dinosaur bones. They're all replicas, which is fine, you know, but like where are the real
80% of them are I mean,
and that was just a whole sideways detour, right? Because you know, I don't believe in dinosaurs the way that I used to believe in dinosaurs back in the day. But nonetheless, that's another conversation.
Oh yeah. But anyway, my point was that if you believe in that, or you only have to say dinosaur, just an animal that had its time and eventually faded. If it fades over time, it gives the amount of time for the rest of nature to compensate for what's missing.
One way or another, eventually.
Right, eventually. But if you take away something too fast immediately, then it causes a huge imbalance in the rest of society.
Well, yeah, especially when you get into environmental, changes. Absolutely.
It's a problem with bees right now, and nobody's talking about it.
It's been for a while. Yeah. Right. Just something simple as, like the coral in the oceans.
Right.
Just the damage to the coral reefs and stuff like that. Like their whole purpose of existence, was to clean and filter and protect and feed certain species. And, with greedy ass humans doing what we do, ruining these coral reefs, killing off these coral reefs and changing the ecology of the oceans. Like, we do more damage than, what do they say? Humans are the most dangerous species on the planet Earth.
We just keep cutting down trees as if we don't need them to breathe.
And it's sad. So this is why they want to get rid of humans. Like, and just make everybody robots, because the Earth would be a much better place.
But the robots probably looking like we ain't got to do nothing. They gonna kill themselves pretty soon, and we can just chill out for a while.
Right. Let them kill themselves off. They're almost there. Shit. That's interesting. But she's right. Nature does find a way. And I guess for me, that is that's for me maybe where this idea of soul comes from, right? This just this natural creation, the magic of creation, I guess. I don't know. And robots, for me, don't have that as opposed to a living being.
Jim and I quoting Jurassic Park.
Nature always finds a way. That's the best movies ever. I don't care whether I believe in dinosaurs or not. I will always see Jurassic Park.
So you're gonna see the new one that's coming out then?
Yeah, I've never missed a Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park.
I haven't either, actually.
I'm a Jurassic Park fan. Even when the movies suck, I mean, we grew up with my dad taking us to the movies, seeing all the Jurassic Parks. Like, that was just. Yeah, that was the thing. So then when I to not believe in dinosaurs and I saw the next Jurassic Park, I was just like, this.
That was the first. That was one of the best theater experiences.
Hell yeah!
Ever. When that first, because it threw me off. It really threw me off because Jurassic Park came out and they doing this huge promotion. This McDonald's, they got McDonald's toys for Jurassic Park. It looked like it's a kiddie movie to me.
Shit.
And I mess around and I end up going with my mom and my sister because I ain't had nothing else to do. I'm like, whatever. And I just happened to go. Oh man. When and it's still interesting, even when they showed like the dinosaur, I'm like, wow, that really look real. And then it started getting a little suspenseful. But when the T-Rex came and he knocked that restroom down, he ate that man off the toilet.
Yep.
I'm like, whoa.
This happened.
It just got real. Oh my God. Yep. This movie, it was little kids screaming, crying. They had to walk their kids about the movie theater.
Yep.
They thought it was a little kiddie movie and there's people getting ate.
And that was when the movie theaters had THX, baby. And so you remember that THX was like, like it rattled the whole theater. So as soon as them dinosaurs started screaming and them people started getting eaten up, it was like,
them parents, they had them little kids, boy, they was running out the exits. The kids was screaming, "Mommy, I want to go."
Yep.
I was like, wow.
I mean, if you think about it, when did Jurassic Park come out? Like in the
92, I think.
Okay, so so I would have been a freshman in high school. 92, I was a freshman in high school. I mean, that was scary. That was a scary movie.
That was it. I was not expecting that. So I'm gonna give you that was one of my that Independence Day was one of my best theater
favorite.
They blowing up stuff from the get-go.
Yep.
Get Out. That was one of my best theater experiences.
Do you know I still haven't seen Get Out?
God, Jesus Christ.
I know.
That was one of my best theater experiences I ever.
Okay. Why was it good in the theater? What about that one was so good in the theater for you?
I don't know. I just saw it at the theater.
Okay.
So, you know, and usually I wouldn't. I usually reserve that for action movies that I go to a theater or something. But yeah, no, that movie, I never seen anything like that before. That was different.
I've never heard anybody talk about that being like movie theater worthy. Now I really want to see it on a different perspective.
It's not like you have to go to the theater in order to enjoy it. It's just
but the fact that that's on your list of top movies in the theater is interesting to me. Because like Get Out next to Independence Day is like,
and
whoa.
The great thing about it is they didn't really tell you what it was. I hate trailers who tell you too much.
Right.
And you kind of have an idea what's going on. This one, they didn't tell you much. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh man, that was a great experience.
Interesting. No, Independence Day was definitely one of my top faves. Absolute top faves. And I think because of movies like Independence Day, there are certain movies you just have to see in the theater, period. Like every action-packed movie, I have to see in the theater. Like I can easily watch it at home, but no, I need the big screen. I need the loudspeakers. I need the full effect.
Oh yeah, The Matrix Reloaded was one of my best theaters.
I seen that in the theater. Yeah,
I was like, wow.
Yep.
I should be paying more for this right now. All right, it's 9:30.
It's 9:30.
We only got the one subject. We stayed on that one subject the whole time.
I know. Well, I mean, it's a freestyle conversation.
No, it was cool. I liked it, and it all came off of you being punked by the powers that be.
Well, I got 5 days left, which means next Tuesday I will be out of jail.
We gonna see.
I will be out of jail. We'll be back to posting in all the places. We do still want to get into a conversation of so men having a panel of men and having a panel of women, and men asking women, why do women blank? And then women asking men, why do men blank? So for anybody who's listening to us, or anybody who listens to us later on, if you have questions that can go towards that, please shoot us some questions. Or if you'd like to participate, if you'd like to be a man and ask women questions, or you're a woman and you want to ask men questions,
let us know, because I think we should select that. We should select the panel as well.
Okay.
I got an idea, a few people who I think that'll be good to, even make sure we have an even panel.
Yeah, it's got to be even.
Get it out there. Okay. Yeah, we can be more specific with that one.
Yeah, we'll have a Facebook get out of jail party. We can do that too, over margaritas.
Gemini, she's
institutionalized. We talked about
she get out and she go right back in. It don't matter.
We talked about having a subscriber party though. So maybe we have to think about doing that this summer.
Definitely. That's a good idea.
Shoot us some topic ideas. Shoot us some questions for that particular topic that we just talked about, and share the page. And we will see y'all next Tuesday night. Good night.
Good night.